Man cannot live on food and water alone, and that's why we're here at the Silverleaf Vineyards and Winery. We're actually going to sample some wine. We're going to learn how they make it, and we're going to go back to the sous chef kitchens and learn how to cook with it on this episode of Get Fresh with Sous Chef.
Get Fresh with Sous Chef is underwritten by the following companies. Meyer, proud to be sponsoring Get Fresh with Sous Chef and supporting locally grown produce, fresh from family farm to family store. Meyer. Superior Foods, serving Michigan restaurants and retailers with local meats, seafood, and produce. Williams Kitchen and Bath, serving customers for over 40 years with multiple locations throughout Michigan. Full Circle Representation, connecting food service and grocery retailers throughout the Midwest.
They're putting me to work here at Silverleaf Vineyards in Suttons Bay. I have to actually go out and fertilize the fields before I can have a glass of wine. Mark, the owner's out in the field. We're going to go see if we can find him. I'm in Suttons Bay, Michigan, where the wine flows like wine. This is the best climate to grow grapes in Michigan, and they're just plentiful. You know, we always thought California was the place to be, but you know what? Suttons Bay is really a place to be. And I'm here at Silverleaf Vineyards in Suttons Bay, and Mark Carlson, he can't leave his grapes alone. Come on over here, Mark. He's the master winemaker here at Silverleaf, and he's agreed to kind of share his information, his insight. You've been doing this since 2005?
Correct.
Tell me what got you into this business, Mark.
Well, my wife and I, we were living in Chicago area all of our lives, and our kids are grown and gone through college and on their own. And I've been coming up here all my life, so we decided just to do something different, move up here and get involved with the grape industry.
Just grow grapes?
That's right.
Well, that's amazing because you really have to know what you're doing. It's a science, and tell me about some of the challenges that you have trying to grow grapes.
Well, I can't say that I knew what I was doing when I started.
Right.
So I would kind of learn as we go, but some of the challenges are having enough equipment to do this. We have to deal with the weather conditions. We had a lot of frost last year. There's just numerous things that we have to deal with, including soil conditions and just the right growing atmosphere.
So right now, it's July, and I was looking at your grapes. They really aren't very big yet. There's these little tiny grapes right here.
Right. This is the development we've gone through. We've gone through some of the development of the grape already, but that's what it looks like when it's after bloom. And these are little grapes right now, just starting to grow. And this is Pinot Noir, by the way.
It is Pinot Noir. It doesn't look like Pinot Noir to me.
It will. We'll give it another month and it'll really look like Pinot Noir.
Will these be purple?
They will be purple.
And that's how the color of the wine, it gets its color from the skin, is that correct?
That's correct. That's right.
So how long before, you said it'll be this fall when you harvest, like September, October?
We'll be probably mid-October with this crop this year. And it's going to take a little bit of time because we're about 7 or 8 days, growing days behind right now because of the weather conditions. But we'll have a good crop in October.
So what is it about the weather conditions here in northern Michigan that make growing grapes so wonderful?
Well, we're on this peninsula, this rolling hills, this beautiful peninsula. This is the Leelanau County appellation officially. 7 miles to our west we have Lake Michigan, and 1 mile to our east we have Grand Traverse Bay. And the water on both sides really creates a different atmosphere for grapes to grow in. We're just above the 45th parallel, which is much like Burgundy in France.
Oh.
And everything works well here.
That's great. And I hear Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Riesling, ice wines. Those are primarily the wines that you make here?
Well, we do Rieslings, we do a Chardonnay, we do Pinot Noir, and we do an ice wine, correct.
Okay.
And but what really grows well up here is white wines. Pinot Gris does well up here. Rieslings are world class without a doubt. Chardonnays are wonderful, and Vignoles are doing well. So all the white wines, all the white grapes grow very well here.
Now, what is this tucking thing you were telling me about? There was a guy out here earlier, and he was tucking.
What we're trying to do here is do some shoot positioning, and we're actually trying to get these shoots to grow up between the wires. So we just kind of take the vines itself and we tuck them up and underneath like that in between the two, then we pull the two wires together. And what that does is it spreads out the canes so the leaves collect sunlight and distribute that sunlight right to the grape.
That's great. I love cooking with wine. And that's what I'm going to do when I get back from this wonderful little trip. But I understand you and your wife also like to cook.
We do.
Hopefully you'll share some of your recipes with me.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go on and into the tasting room and see how you actually make the wine.
Great.
All right, I found her, Patty, the brains of the operation. She happened to be standing on our deck before we went down to learn about the wines. And I wanted to ask you, you have these great wine tastings, and you actually make some great foods using your wines. Explain this one to me. Spicy cranberry sauce with a Pinot Noir. That sounds really good.
It's this very simple sauce. I took our Pinot Noir and actually added it just to some cranberry sauce, added some ginger and some curry, and then we put that glaze over roasted turkey, and we served about 800 people for a weekend in November.
Wow, it sounds great with turkey, because turkey's a little bit salty sometimes, and then that sweetness kind of balances off the, oh, that sounds great. Here's the other one I love, cherry almond chocolate clusters. Chocolate. How do you make that?
It was really good. Dark chocolate, of course, because that's healthy for you.
Right, it's good for your heart, I hear. And same with wine, red wine.
Right. And then I took dried cherries and I rehydrated them by soaking them in our cherry wine.
So they kind of puff up and reconstitute. Beautiful.
Roasted some almonds, chopped the almonds, so added the almonds, the cherries from the cherry wine, and the chocolate together and made the clusters.
Oh, delicious.
I had to make 500.
Oh my
And
gosh,
of course,
you're an amazing woman.
well-
You not only grow your own grapes, make your own wine, but then you feed 500 people.
And lick the bowl in between.
I love that. Well, can we go down and I would like to learn a little bit about how you guys actually make your wine. All right, let's go. Wow, look at all of these great oak barrels. I'm just amazed. Look at this thing. Tell me about why oak and why you guys like to use this for fermenting wine.
Well, this is French oak. These are my babies. I love these barrels. These are French oak, and I like to use French oak for two of my varietals, which are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and I use French oak exclusively. We have American oak barrels as well that we use, but they're for reds, really. American oak imparts too much flavor into the wine, too much, it's too strong. But the French oak are just nice, soft, subtle, it makes the wine softer and more pleasing to the palate, and we don't over oak the wine. We like to, what we say, just sort of kiss the wine with oak.
Yeah, because it seems like a lot of Chardonnays these days, especially the ones that are made in California, are very oaky.
True.
And at first I think people were really liking that, but what I find is it doesn't always go well with food. It's hard to pair a really oaky Chardonnay with food, and that's why I like the French wines a lot, but this is, you're saying because of the French oak, your Chardonnays will probably be closer to what a French Chardonnay is.
That's true.
Right.
It's a little softer, correct.
Right. Well, in a minute, I'm actually going to make my own wine. He's going to let me actually make my own wine. Can you believe it? Wow, look at this piece of equipment. This is really cool. It looks like a bunch of cow udders, but actually wine comes out of this, not milk. Explain the process to me, Mark, how you get it from the barrels into the wine bottles.
Sure. Well, this is furthering our handcrafting of our own wines. Everything we do is handcrafted, and our hands touch everything. What we do is we take the wine from the barrels, we pump it out back into a tank where we blend it all back so it all has the same flavor. Then we pump it back out of the tank through a plate frame filter into this machine, which is called a 6-position bottler. It's gravity fed. The wine comes through a series of hoses and comes down into the bottle, which you should put one on there, try.
I get to actually make some wine.
Just push it up there real tight. And
This is
there you
the
go.
easy part though, right?
There you
Filling the
see-
bottles.
There you go. Just fill
Look
the
at
bottle.
that. And then you put all 6 on, boom, they're all filled.
Correct.
And then from there you take it to have it corked, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. And how much wine do you actually filter through this thing at one time? Just enough to fill the 6 bottles, or does it just keep filling
It
with
just
wine?
fills the bottles automatically, and we'll when we bottle, we do about 115, 118 cases at a time.
Wow. All right. So then after that, we take it off.
Yep.
And we go ahead and put the cork on. This is the fun part.
This is the fun part.
So we get this cool little mechanism. It actually looks like a wine corker, the kind that you would take the cork off. You got to put it right in there like that so
You
it
do.
fits in tight. We take the cork and put it right up against it. This looks like some brass pieces in here.
Correct.
And then this is where I use my brute strength. Boom, look at that. That was actually pretty easy. So
Every
you-
bottle we do is hand done, just the same way.
Look at that. This is that easy. I actually just made my own bottle of water. Well, actually, we are going to get to taste some wine.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Do some barrel
sample.
tasting.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, look at this beautiful cask of wine. Let's try it out. I'm anxious to try the fruits of your labor, Mark.
All right.
What is this wonderful tool we have here?
This is actually called a wine thief, and I've got a couple glasses here, and this is a 59-gallon Bordeaux barrel French oak of Chardonnay. This is
All
our
right.
08 Chardonnay. We harvested this in October of 08, and I fermented it in these barrels, and this is called a sur-lie style. Again, back to the hand crafting the wine. We let the wine rest on the lees, that's the sediment for the wine.
Okay.
And we actually stir the lees about every 10 to 14 days.
By rolling the casks?
No, actually we pull the plug, the bung, and then we have a stir that we actually put inside the hole and we stir the wine around. And
Okay.
we give it about 14 to 16 good stirs. It stirs the lees up, gives the wine more flavor once again. Again, going back to handcrafting.
Right.
So would you like to taste some wine?
I would love to taste
All
some
right,
wine.
let's use the thief.
The wine thief. That's what people usually call me. Sometimes I forget. I'll leave my glass of wine at a party and I'll forget and I'll grab somebody else's. It's a habit I have.
There you go.
Thank you.
08 Chardonnay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Thank you.
Bon appetit. You know that saying, I love to cook with wine and sometimes I even put it in my food? Well, it's actually true. I do put it in my food. I absolutely love cooking with wine. We just got back from Silverleaf Vineyard in Suttons Bay, where Mark and Patty Carlson were so generous, sent me home with a few bottles of wine. So we're actually going to do some cooking with wine today. Our menu is a garlic chicken with white wine sauce. Very, very simple, very economical, as we know that chicken is not that expensive. There's a few steps here, so we're going to go ahead and quickly get this made up. I have a slow cooker here, or a Dutch oven, where I've had some oil heating up, medium-high heat. And we're going to take our chicken. First, we're going to take a little flour, and we're going to put some black pepper in there and season it, a little kosher salt. And you can put any kind of seasonings you want in there. You know, the typical seasonings for chicken are thyme, sage. I'm going to put a little marjoram in there. Whatever you want. The sky's the limit. I always say cook with a reckless abandon, right? And then we'll just kind of mix that in a little bit. Now, again, things go pretty quickly, so you really want to have everything prepped and ready to go. So you've got your flour ready to go. You've got your chicken all pieced up. You can buy a whole chicken and cut it yourself, but a lot of times they come already cut up, so it just saves you a little bit of extra time. So we'll go ahead and dredge this in the flour, and we'll put it in our Dutch oven that's already been heating up. And the idea is to brown the chicken. And we also want some of the flour and the chicken to kind of stick to the bottom of the pan, but you don't want it to burn. So it's really important that you play with your heat a little bit. Right now it's perfect temperature, but if you see that some of the flour is starting to brown, take it off the heat and just let it cool a little bit, because if it starts burning, it's going to really take the flavor away. And when you're playing with chicken, remember, it's really important that you wash your hands and that you switch the plates. You don't want to cross-contaminate. That's a real concern with a lot of the cooking that I do. So you want to always be ready to wash up. So we'll go ahead, and I've got a little sanitized water over here. I'm going to clean my hand. And you get that nice and browned. And you really want some of that to stick to the bottom of the pan. That's okay. So don't use a non-stick pan when you're doing this dish. You want to have something that will actually allow little bits and pieces to stick to the bottom of the pan. And that's looking really good. We'll flip that over. And if you see that it's not browning fast enough, turn the heat up a little bit. I like to play with the heat because not all stoves are the same. If you have a gas stove, you'll see that it cooks a lot differently than electric. Heat that up a little bit more. Some of the other ingredients we're going to add later are, we've got some onions already chopped up. We've got some whole garlic, and of course that's what really is going to flavor this dish. Some mushrooms, white mushrooms, and at the end we've got some cream, butter, and chopped up parsley. All delicious and fresh. And that's looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove our chicken right now. And we're going to start adding some of those other ingredients. And it's not totally cooked yet, so don't worry. We're just, this is one part of it. It already smells really good. Go ahead and put our onions in there, some garlic, and some mushrooms. See, I'm sure you have all your food prepped up like that too at home, right? You have a little guy in the kitchen doing all the prep work for you like I do. It's great. Makes cooking a lot faster. But you know what the nice thing is? You can go to the grocery store today and a lot of this stuff is already pre-cut up for you. Even garlic, it's a pain to peel garlic. And if you've ever tried, you sit there with the garlic and you're trying to peel the skin off, one of the techniques I like to use is a meat mallet or the back of a knife. And you just take that, put it on a table. I don't know, can you get a shot of that, Josh? You can get your anger out. This is always a handy thing. And boom. You smash the skin and it comes right off. Look at that. It's very, very easy. So we'll go ahead and put that in. And like the mushrooms, if you find onions in the grocery store, mushrooms already cut up, it just saves you an extra step. And what we're doing here with the vegetables is we're creating what they call a fond. And that is basically all of the little bits and pieces of vegetables and the meat and the flour that are starting to stick to the bottom of the pan. That's creating the fond, and that's really good stuff because later we're going to create a sauce using that. But the key is not to go too, don't burn it. You just want to get it to the point where it's starting to brown and starting to adhere to the bottom. And I'm going to also add a little bit of salt and pepper. I like using kosher salt, mainly because you can control it. You can put it in your hand, you can feel it, and then it also has a tendency to kind of stick up on the, hold up on the food. Whereas a regular table salt is a little overpowering. Little black pepper, always freshly ground. The smells, you just can't believe it. Smells great. And now for the actual cooking of wine part. With wine, I mean. We've got some nice white table wine from Silverleaf Winery, and I'm going to go ahead and put that right in there. What we're doing now is called deglazing, and that is pulling off all the little bits and pieces off the bottom, and this is going to make a really good sauce. And stand back, because when you're working with heat and you're putting something that's a little cooler in there, it has a tendency to really steam up. Oh yeah, do you hear that? Sounds good. And if you're worried about, cooking with alcohol, it's not a problem because the alcohol is very volatile and that will cook off right away. And what you're going to be left with is a really nice wine flavor, but it's not going to have the alcohol in it. And that's why I always say when you cook with wine that you like, wine that you would drink, because you're going to be left with the flavor of that wine. So that's really, really important. So now it's starting to really get some of those bits and pieces off. It looks great. Now is for the next part. We're going to actually add our chicken back in. We'll put it right on top of all of these vegetables. And this is going to, it creates this great aromatic. It keeps the chicken nice and moist. And a great dish to serve when you're having a lot of friends over, because now all we're going to do is we're going to put a little chicken stock over the top. And I've had the chicken stock heating on the oven because I don't want to add something cold to something that's already hot because it's going to drop the temperature. This way it'll consistently cook. And then we're just going to go ahead and put the lid on it. And while your guests arrive, you can have that in the oven and it's cooking. And you can just enjoy your friends, enjoy your time together while this is just doing its thing in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in for, about 45 minutes.